Hi, welcome to the channel. Today's video is about a Muslim feminist and talking about women's rights. Interesting. We're going to check this video together, and I love your thoughts and your contribution in the comments below. Let's dive right in. This is a member shout out. Thank you so much for signing up to become a member here on this channel. Your love and support is immensely appreciated. And if you want to sign up to become a member, make sure to click the link in the description box below to sign up to become a member, or click the join button beside the subscribe button to join to become a member here on this channel and enjoy other channel membership perks from this channel. Once again, thank you so much for signing up to become a member.
If you don't mind, really quick, just on you're Muslim.
Yes.
Do you think Islam is less oppressive than Christianity?
I think that the media wants to frame certain narratives. I think if we're talking about religion,
Sure.
a lot of times religion can be weaponized against women and used to oppress them. Okay? And if we're talking about the West, of course the West is going to want to frame Islam, whatever, as oppressive, this, and that. Am I making the argument that Christianity is more oppressive than Islam? Not necessarily.
But I mean, I don't think it's just media framing. So I mean, we have, for example, Islamic doctrine that we can look at.
Okay, let's talk about that. What Islamic doctrine is oppressive to women?
Oh, well, I mean, again, I'm not a theological expert, but what I could point to, for example, like I think in Muslim majority countries, you tend to see less freedoms for women. So if you look at most Western countries that are either Christian or have like a Christian heritage, women have like really robust freedoms in either Christian countries or
so what do you
historically
define
Christian
as
countries.
freedoms? Sorry.
Oh, sure, like ability to vote. Well, I mean, like, for example, do you think United States is more, at least as it relates to women, is more free than like Afghanistan, which is a Muslim country?
Yeah, but like in what regard? So if we're talking about women owning land.
All of them?
Like currently?
Yes. So if you're going to say, so are you saying that freedom equates to how women get to dress? Or are we talking about right to own land, etc.?
You think the only restriction on women's freedom in Afghanistan is their dressing ability?
No, I never said that. I'm just asking you to define freedom. Freedoms. Like if we're talking, okay, so if we're talking about, for instance, Saudi Arabia versus if we're talking about Afghanistan versus if we're talking about Iran, it's all different.
I mean, I would probably argue, again, I'm not the expert
How
in
is
like
it different?
all.
Let me pause it here first. How is it different? You think if you're Muslim or Islam, let me say Muslim, how is Saudi Arabia Muslim different from Afghanistan Muslim or Iran Muslim? I'm trying to understand how. How? Talk about um Christianity or okay, the media framing Muslim or Islamic religion to be more oppressive. I'm trying to understand how that sounds like because you're a Muslim. Let me not even say what I want to say because this one now is because yeah, you have lots of privilege, lots of rights to have a seat at the table. Guess what? Because what you are in where in the West in America that gave you a woman right. Because let me tell you, you a Muslim woman, you will not even be talking to a man to even sit on the table to talk with a man. Lots of women already know that even the how they call the mosque, right? How many of these mosques? Let's even use the bigger mosque. Have you seen women in Muslim women in? And sometimes when you look at it, lots of women would even call that oppression. Is it really oppression? That's a question. Is it really oppression? Because if she is talking about women's right, women's freedom, and all, the freedom you enjoy in America or the rights you enjoy in America, you cannot even go to or go down to this, even Saudi Arabia. Let's use Saudi Arabia. Let's not even go to Afghanistan. Let's use Saudi Arabia. You cannot go to Saudi Arabia and go and try that. You cannot go and try it. Because guess what? There are what? Rules. And you have to follow. But again, talk about she was the exact same person that potentially complained or talked about how women in America are being oppressed. Well, we're getting there. Let me hear what she wants to say.
Muslim majority countries.
Yeah, so that's so sorry to interrupt you, but that's what I'm saying. It's very nuanced.
Sure.
So I can't speak to all Muslim majority countries.
Sure. I would just
and then if we're talking about countries that are under the Taliban, or ISIS, etc., that's also very different.
And you did cite to female genital mutilation. You are aware that FGM is typically practiced, well, not exclusively, but it is more so practiced in Muslim majority countries than in Western Christian countries?
Yes.
Okay.
So again, that doesn't mean I agree with that practice. I think everyone, for example, if we're citing the KKK, the KKK claim to be Christian nationalists and they still kill black people. Okay. So what I'm saying here is people take faiths and they become extreme. They can take an iteration of faith and take it way too far. But that is so when I'm speaking for, in my personal life, I practice religion, that does not mean that I stand for a lot of the ways that it has been corrupted and a lot of social things that it imposes on women.
Well, hold on, but you really quick, you invoked the KKK here when we're talking about like the Islamic influence in Muslim majority countries.
So
wait, hold on. I think that's a bit of a false equivalence to say that, first off, the KKK has no political capital at all in this country. And it's a false equivalence because the Taliban has robust political power in Afghanistan, and that's not like...
So yeah, but there was a time that the KKK had robust influence here in the U.S., right?
Not necessarily.
I mean, I would agree. So I would agree. Historically, the KKK was bigger, had more influence, perhaps, 50s, 60s, 70s, but not anywhere near approaching the level of influence and power that like the Taliban has in Afghanistan.
Okay, and I agree that the Taliban and its practices are incorrect.
Sure.
What I was pointing to with the KKK example is that a lot of time religion can be taken and manipulated. And so I'm saying in that specific instance, do I think that is a perfect iteration of what Islam should look like? Absolutely not. But am I here to defend Islam? No, I'm here to protect women's rights. And I think a lot of the times religion can be great and it's a great thing to practice and keep in your life. Do I think it should bleed into politics and how we practice certain things and how women are treated? No, because it can always be co-opted.
Let me just say this. Let me correct that narrative. Because lots of people mistake this religion and extremism. Lots of people put these two, like, how do I put it? Religion, right? And extremism. There's just a tiny thin line between both. But religion is not close to extremism, right? Extremism is, how do I even put this one? There's a word I want to use for extremism when it gets to that angle, right? Because now she is I understand what she means or what she's saying as per religion, right, or religious belief. Because there are some people, even in the Christian faith, there are some people who like go extreme, who practice Christian religion. There are some people who are Christian extremists, right? The exact same thing to other religions, right? And there, people take things out of context, right? But here is the problem, because majority of the time, people look at it like this, stand on this, stand on business. I just want to think that the Muslim is a then Islam. Suppose sometimes I kind of mix between both. But yeah, when we talk about Islam itself, there are some belief, right? That that is it. That is it. It's not the exact same for Christian or for Christianity. It's not the exact same. And when you want to compare both, I will tell you for free that Christianity is the most accepting religion no matter what. It's just because some people would take it to the far extreme and be like, no, it is like this, like this, like this. Do we have Christian church? What they call? Do we have Christian courts? We don't. We don't have Christian courts, and sometimes I just wish we do, but we don't. Because guess what? There is the law, and there is what? Your faith and love, sonship. That's what separates the two. But again, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go down to that side. But again, all these ones that she's here say talking about women's rights. You want to fight women's rights? Why are you in America? Because I mean, for the vast majority, America so far, they are pretty doing decent, quite okay in terms of women's rights. I thought if you want to fight women's rights, you would be, or you would have hopped into a plane to Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan or Iran, right? Go there. Go there first.
Well, I guess just because you invoked the conversation about religion and you seem to have shifted blame towards Christianity, I was simply just pointing out you yourself are a Muslim, where, I mean, I think it would just be, it's objectively the case that at least as it relates to the religion, it seems far more oppressive to women's freedoms than Christianity. And then if you look at the fruits, of Christianity, you look at Western countries that either are Christian or have a Christian heritage, Christian history, you can compare them to Muslim countries, Islamic countries. They're far more rife with lacking in rights for women.
I mean, to be honest, I disagree in the sense that I think a lot of the times there's a few things I want to say here, right? I don't want to have a theological argument with you, but I think if we're looking into the specific texts when it comes to the Quran versus the Bible, the Quran is less oppressive to women, especially at the specific time that it came down.
I think it is a matter of interpretation when it does come down to that. I think that your overgeneralization of the Bible itself is harmful.
Exactly. I don't necessarily think it's an overgeneralization. I'm just saying if we look at the texts themselves, right? So I've studied both the Bible and I've studied the Quran, and I've looked at both of those texts. And by looking at the text, I can tell you that the Bible is more oppressive towards women, especially
Let me pause it there, because when you're talking about the Bible, obviously this is the problem. This is where I'm going to pause it here and I'm going to speak. Because over the top, when lots of people say, oh, that are non-Christians, when they want to talk about the Bible, guess where they always go to? The law, which is what? Moses' law, the Old Testament. That is where they want to go to say, oh, they are using that context to, guess what? To compare with the Quran or compare with other religion. And I understand that is the angle she wants to do, because guess what? That is what lots of them do. And guess what? That is where the religion that is leaning slowly towards extremism is coming from. And I will tell you that one for free, because guess what? We've dealt with people like this and we know how they think. Let's get back.
Time that it came down and the practices that were imposed on the women that were there, okay?
I think you are just experiencing selective exposure.
No, I'm telling you that I read the text. It's not a selective exposure, but what I will say is that the way that those religions are practiced and people have taken them and people have grappled with them and what people have extracted from them and began to practice is very different
That's
than
not
what's written
true.
in the text itself.
Those are fringe or extremist groups that the entire community
Thank
should
you.
not be defined or labeled by.
Okay,
Exactly.
I agree.
That's not what you said. You were demonizing
Exactly.
the entire Christianity.
No, I was not demonizing Christianity. I was saying what was in the Bible
You were saying that Christian men were weaponizing Adam and Eve's story.
Yes, and that is true. But I'm not saying that Christianity as
But not all Christian men weaponize it.
Okay, yes, but I was citing as an example. I
And
was
not
saying
all
this
Christian
is.
men interpret it that way.
I agree. I never said all men.
You
I said
agree to
specifically
everything. Okay.
that a lot of times religion is pointed to as this is why women deserve to be oppressed. So I was citing that. And the same thing can be said for Islam. A lot of men use the Quran as a way to oppress women. Any religion can be used to oppress women. And so what I was saying was from the beginning of time, women have been oppressed due to men's iteration of certain religions.
Well, this toxic or this oppressive behavior that you're observing is an individual, not a community.
Yes, I'm saying that religion can be weaponized. That has nothing to do with the entire religion as a whole. I'm saying people can take religion regardless of what the religion is and weaponize
There
it.
will be
Is that not
extremist
what
groups
you-
of any and every group that exists, but you should not label or define a
I
community
never
by
labeled
them.
anything as that.
You did.
I just
You
said
said Christianity is
You
oppressive.
did.
You weaponize
I said
Christianity.
men
did.
can take Christianity and weaponize it.
I think that's an overgeneralization.
Saying that men can weaponize Christianity is an overgeneralization.
Yes.
That's
They
just
can. They can. They can weaponize it.
They can
See
and
the
have.
fem- feminist
it's possible,
cult.
but that is an
Yeah, because they're not a
overgeneralization. I don't
majority
think
of
you know
men.
what that means.
She never said the majority of men.
Hold on. Well, let me let some chats come through and then.
Jacob Joseph donated $200. Chair 1, you cited to the United Nations, the same United Nations that put Iran on the Human Rights Council. Can you please tell me about Iran's record on women's rights?
so, yeah, sure, friend Joseph.
A message from the government of Canada.
Hold on. Well,
Pasty George donated $200.
Talk about somebody who has never been to any other place outside of America. Because if she has been outside of America, she would know exactly what she's talking about. But again, I digress. And I'm saying this with a big one because guess what? This one does not know any other thing that happens because guess what? They only potentially may watch it in the movies. But go there. Do you think your reality, what is your reality in America, is the exact same reality of women that live in Saudi Arabia or women that live in Afghanistan or Iran? Your reality is not the same. Those women will look at you and be like, oh, they wish to. Why do you think majority of the women, they come to these countries? Because guess what? What they enjoy here, they will never enjoy there. But your reality and their reality is not the same. But again, talk about how weaponizing. Let me tell you. When obviously when you're talking about the Christianity weaponizing or Christian religion um oppressing women, I know where you're going at or where you're getting at. I know. And guess what? Lots of people do this whenever they want to make Christian religions, or whenever they want to talk about Christian, especially the Bible. Whenever they want to make reference to the Bible, they always come to say, "Oh, but the Bible said from the Old Testament, this said." Yeah, but that's not just the Bible. That's not just the Bible. And we could go over and over again. But guess what? There are some things that I also want to say about the Muslim or the but Islam or even about the Quran. But guess what? You yourself, when you read it, and sometimes you don't when you even hear some of these, they are how do you even call them? It's not the Imam, is it the Sheikh? There's a name they call them. These very like powerful people. I'm trying to remember the name they call them. When you hear some of them talk, they talk in this very defensive manner, very defensive and all. But guess what? You dare not condemn their Quran. You dare not. That's why I'm even here saying it, that this exact same rights, you want to fight women's rights, you are in America. My dear, go there. This exact same rights that you enjoy in America, you cannot even try it. In the said same place that you say, oh, they have equal right, or they have close right, or more rights than they have in America. It's like you just need to receive sense. That's just it.
$4. So, according to Chair 1, men such as myself who refuse to enter into a relationship with a Western woman, or any woman influenced in any way by feminism, are bad and more likely to unalive women. LOL.
Sorry for the delay
Yeah.
on these guys.
Champagne pop.
Sorry, 2 came in there. Do you want to address Jacob first and then Pasty?
Sure. What I'm going to say to Jacob, right, is if you want to look at Iran, right, and you want to look at what happened, okay, you can blame the United States and you can blame the West for that, for staging a coup. The CIA was involved, look it up, and putting Iran back into an oppressive regime.
And your response to Pasty George?
He said, oh, that men who reject feminism want to unalive women.
Anybody, really quick before you respond, anybody want champagne?
I'm okay.
Champagne?
No, thank you.
1, 2, 3,
Do you
4.
happen to have cider?
No.
No.
Champagne? Okay. Sorry,
But
go ahead.
so I don't think, I think, yes, they have tendencies to be more dangerous towards women if you believe that you don't want to engage with any women that have anything to do with feminism. That's a bit concerning. And I think that men who believe that would be more violent towards
Sit
women.
down. Well, too late now.
Well said.
Thanks.
Do you want to? I'm okay. I'll take it.
Celine, I know you wanted to jump in on something there.
Yes.
I don't know if you still have that. But.
I'm not entirely educated on the actual texts in the Quran, and I've read the Bible as a kid, but not in recent times. So I'm not going to sit here and act like an expert. But from my knowledge, the literal, if we're talking about just the text here, not the connotations, not the implications, not the people behind the text, if we're talking about the text, I would argue that Islam is arguably more oppressive than Christianity, just text-wise. I would say that Christian people that I have had experience with have been a little bit more oppressive, but that's honestly because I've met more Christian people than I have met Muslims. But again, from my knowledge of the text, it's much more oppressive.
We're going to move off religion here, but really.
Obviously, whenever lots of these people talk about Christian religion or talk about the Bible, they always make references to the Old Testament, the book of the Moses Law. They always make references to that. And I'm like, text. There are chapters. There are chapters. Let me even correct that. There are chapters. And the book. There are chapters, not text. Chapters. Correct you that. There are chapters. The book. Right? Let's get back to it. Now, whenever they read the Bible or read a portion or the part of the Bible to make references to whatever the narrative they want to make or make comparison, they always go to Moses' law and say, yeah, this part said, and I understand the part that they are mostly going to. Most of the time go to Deuteronomy. Most of them go to Deuteronomy. In fact, from Exodus down to Deuteronomy, that's where most of them go to. Exodus down to Deuteronomy. Only few would even touch Leviticus. But these are the parts that they mostly go to touch. But again, your reality living in America and the reality of those women living in Iran are two different things. They are not the same. Let's get back to the part. Talk about men who don't identify or who don't want to be in a relationship with a feminist. They've got choice. They've got, guess what? They can choose, and it's their choice, because guess what? You're fighting for women's rights and you think men should not have choices on who to be with. No, that's not how life works, because guess what? If somebody forces you as a feminist to be with a man that you don't want to, or a traditional man, would you agree? The answer is no. So why do you think these men should be forced? And if they don't want to be with a feminist, then they have the tendency to, I don't want to say the rubbish that she just said, because that's insane. That's the next level of insanity. But let's get back to this, because guess what? A masculine man doesn't want to be with a masculine woman. A masculine man wants to be in a relationship with a feminine woman. And femininity and feminists, they are not the same people. They are not even in the same group. They are not the same. Use your tongue to count your teeth. You already know the truth. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Obviously, lots of people have interesting discussions shared here, and I'll love your thoughts regarding this. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video. This is a member shout out. Thank you so much for signing up to become a member here on this channel. And if you want to sign up to become a member, do well to click the link in the description box below to sign up to become a member.